Okay, we're going to start because we have quite a bit to go over with you today, and this is Dina. Dina is a coach, a literacy coach in Euclid, and she came because she helped with the development of the routines. The routines that we're going to go through today are a response from Mentor. They wanted consistency across grades and buildings and classrooms, and so this is what Terry came up with based on their feedback. And in terms of the language calendar, there's a language calendar plan specific for Mentor that incorporates making meaning within it, and we're going to go through it with you. But all of the information that came and was put together was based on conversations with Barb and Larry and what they envisioned in terms of your district specific to you. So that's where the information came from, and it was their request that we develop something that's so that the routines are there and kids get used to the routines, the teachers get used to the routines, and there's a consistency between teachers and schools. So, you want to start, Dina?
Sure. Hi, I'm Dina. I am an instructional coach in Euclid. I am specifically right now pre-K and kindergarten. So we have a pre-K kindergarten village in Euclid, so I strictly work with them now. So I was a part of developing the structure of the lesson plans for the literacy routine. So I really just wanted to walk them through with you. So we're not really going to go over everything that Sally went with you. She already went through all the components with you in depth. So I really just wanted to walk you through the routines, and then if you have any questions, then just feel free to ask at any point in time as we're going through them. Pre-K and kindergarten are similar, and then first and second is similar. So you do all have, I think it was sent to you electronically. I don't know if you printed them out too. You might have a hard copy of them as well, but you can follow along either in your computer. If you can't see, I tried to blow it up so you guys can see the screen. So really it's just a structure, and just like what Sally was saying, it's going to be a routine that is every day that teachers are teaching, kids are learning, and really the only thing that you're switching out is your concept or the letter focus that you're working on, the vowel house, the vowel patterns that you're focusing on. Those are the things that are switching out, but once you model for your teachers, or once the teachers are modeling for their students, after the first few weeks, then the kids are going to know exactly what to do every day. It's just changing out whatever that vowel pattern is, whatever the letter, depending on what grade level too, what you're focusing on. So we're just going to start with the poetry and the KMPs. And there are, the times do vary depending on what grade level too. And again, it does say 5 to 10 minutes. You might go over a little bit on those 10 minutes. That's fine. It just depends. At the beginning, if this is new, it is going to take a little more time. Then the time will start getting shaved off once they start getting the routine down. So the time and the minutes is just a guide for you.
Can I say something? Mm-hmm. Up at the top, the scope and sequence of sounds and the Vowel House weekly scope and sequence that's in blue, if teachers click on that link, it will take them to the scope and sequence for them so that they would be able to see where they are for that week and for that grade level, so that it's there. It's just a quick touch and go.
Yeah, and throughout, for kindergarten through second grade, throughout these plans, there are a lot of links. Everything's linked for the teacher, so they just have to click on it, and there it is. There's a video, there's modeling, which I'll share some of those with you, where it's showing them how to do, whether it's stretching out a word on their arm or whether it's segmenting and blending. We do also have like a body part of segmenting blending. Did you share that with them? So with them moving, also with the segmenting blending. So wherever it's blue, it's linked. We try to make it very friendly for the teachers and give them the support that they need. All right, so just with the poetry and the KMPs, really, like on Monday, you're introducing that poem. You're going to do it a few times. We always recommend that if it is a new poem, you're just introducing it to them. We don't want the words in front of them at first. After a few times that you've done it with them, then you can show the words with it. So you're just going to model the poem, then they're chorally doing it with you. And then that's when you go into talking about the main idea or the target of your vocabulary. And then you're going to orally at first, give a summary statement orally on that first day, and then on Tuesday you'll be writing it out. You can write at the bottom of the poem if you want to. Oh my goodness, okay. So after your summary statement, then you're gonna pick your 2 words that you wanna highlight, do like an onset rhyme with, and then focus on that vowel sound focus. So this is for 1st and 2nd grade. Kindergarten and preschool, they do not have the vowel house. They are not introduced to the vowel house until 1st. So this is where we're incorporating. This is another thing with these. We're trying to incorporate where everything just is not segmented, where we're just doing the poems right now. We're just doing the motions right now. We want that integrated throughout the day for them. So just with the vowel house. The vowel house just isn't just on the language calendar or just when we're learning our spelling patterns. You can also do it with your poem. So whatever that feature is, that spelling feature or vowel pattern, then you're going to connect it to the vowel house. So you're going to pick a few words from the poem. You're going to have them say the word. You're going to have them do the vowel pattern motion, and then take it to the vowel house.
It's as I did with the October poem, and we picked October, and you could put it in the ah window, or you can put it in the o window, or you could put it in the window, which, and students again telling you where they would put it and why, and you're checking then to see that there's a correlate between the two. But I will say that there always, sometimes in the poem that you're doing, there is not necessarily a word that fits what your vowel house focus is going to be for that week. So this is randomly taking words from the poem and taking them to the vowel house. You can't, we had a conversation with a teacher from another building one day, and she was confused because she couldn't find, she knew that they were working on the EA spelling in the vowel house that week, and there was no EA words in the poem. And so this is just playing with words and vowel sounds and making sure there's a correlate between the windows. Can they identify the correct window based on the sound, doing the motion, whatever. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
So after they do that, then we also have the fun poetry. So that will always be giving on a Monday to the kids to take home, and then it will come back on a Friday. Now the fun poetry we did have just for the monthly poem, but now Sally is developing them all for all of the poems in November, I think will be when. Starting
November, with the poems that go up for November, there will be a fun poetry
for every
worksheet
poem.
For the monthly poem and every weekly poem. There will be one that teachers can use, print off, and send home. They don't have to write it themselves. So I finished pre-K the other day, and I'm starting on kindergarten now, but they'll be there starting November, whatever. Go ahead. For a week, correct. The October poem you do, and that's the one where you're going to be layering in more and more sounds and motions because of the familiarity of doing it for 20 days or whatever during the course of the month. The weekly poem is a more narrow focus usually in terms of the phonic focus, and kids will, at the end of a week, will be more familiar with the weekly poem, and so they will start to layer in their own motions, but your primary focus within the weekly poem is that, and maybe introducing something that you know is coming in 2 weeks or something. You can start that motion like pre-teaching, like immersion, before they get to it, so that it's not.
So right here.
Because I have you both mic'd, will you just repeat questions so that way we can
Oh, sure. Okay. Do you want me to repeat that question?
If you want to say what it was, that would
Okay. The question was, the weekly poem the monthly poem you're doing for the whole month are you doing the monthly poem for the whole month every day? And that is true, yes. And then you're doing the weekly poem over the course of the week, Monday through Friday, with a more narrow phonic focus.
So for example, if we were focusing on J, this is for the week. You're focusing on that J sound. And then of course you can pull in those optional focus that they've already learned previously with the previously month. So that's where these pull in. And then the optional exposure, that's what Sally was just saying, is you might want to front load a little bit and just throw that in, because some kids are ready for that. So we want to expose them to that as well. So that's where we would definitely utilize the focus, what is it? Well, they're both optional, review here,
Right.
and then the exposure. Okay. So you guys have all seen the fun poetry. Have you seen what that looks like? No, not yet?
I thought it, yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay.
I'll just quickly show you what that looks like. Again, it's a link. You can click right on it. It will go right to the fun poetry. And this is for It Is August. So it is for the monthly poem, not the weekly poems that will be coming in November. For each weekly poem, you'll have that as well. So every week, you can send it home on a Monday, and then they can bring it back on a Friday. So that's an activity they can do at home with their family.
And it's developing those concepts of print.
Yes.
Those early literacy pieces and parts, and it's practicing. It might do rhyming, it might do some segmenting and blending. You could have sometimes there will be a vocabulary piece that goes with it. It's just,
So that's an example of what will come back on Fridays?
Yes.
So this would be the example. It is August, and those weekly, or it's not weekly, it's monthly. The parent resource letters that go home, this monthly poem is on it already for them, so they could use that, and then they would sit down and write 2 words from the poem that repeats. So circle every ooh that you see, and they would do it right on that. From the parent resource letters that are being sent home. And then this is the activity they do. They have the whole week to complete it, and then they can bring it back on Friday for you all to see. So this is just examples. Right?
And
How
every
many
month
periods you see.
and every week will be different. It'll be whatever,
Yeah, so it won't be the exact same setup. It'll change, and it'll develop as the year goes on to more complex concepts. Let me go back here. Okay. So then on Tuesday, you're going to do the exact same thing on Tuesday. You're rereading the poem, you're using your KMPs, you're chorally using those KMPs with them, having them show you. You're reviewing the summary statement, but this time you're writing the summary statement. You're including the title of the poem, this poem is about, or the main idea is. Again, you're going to highlight that phonetic focus of the spelling pattern that you're working on. Choose 1 to 2 words from the vowel sound. And then they're going to identify it, do the KMP for it, and then locate it on the vowel house. So that's the same exact routine that you've done on Monday. And then just on Wednesday, it's a little more discussing the phrasing and the emphasis of the poem, of how that sounds. You can have them change voices to make it a little more interesting for them. Again, you're reviewing that summary statement. And then Sally, I'm sorry, for Tuesday, we've got the My Words.
which I modeled for you when I was here before. I took 2 words out of the poem that I liked, put them on that 3x3 grid, and they decorated or illustrated or whatever. But it's student choice of vocabulary, so.
Yeah, this is student choice, so they're picking the words they want from the poem. So if it is a picture that they can draw a picture of, if it's something they can visualize and draw a picture of, like let's just say it's pumpkin, for that Halloween poem, they can draw a picture of a pumpkin. If it's a sight word, like go, they can just decorate the border. They obviously aren't gonna have a picture for that, so just decorate the border, as long as they're not covering up the words.
And teachers can add parameters, I think, to that aspect. I might say that every week they have to have 1 sight word on their My Words. It can't only be because if you want kids to get practice writing those, not just reading, but writing those sight words, because that's the important part is you want that writing fluency also. So I might say every week you have to have one sight word on there, but they can pick the sight word, pick one that's tricky for you, or pick one that you really like, and then maybe the next week the teacher says, this week you have to pick a sight word from a poem that you find tricky for you. It's hard for you to remember it. It's hard for you to write it, practice it, so.
And I'm sure Sally brought it up to you too with the My Words. The My Words is for the whole entire week. They should be doing 2 a day. We don't want them doing the whole entire frame because I think there's 9 squares in there. We just don't want them doing the whole entire frame. Just do 2 a day. And this again could be during their care time, center time, whatever you guys call it here. That's when they would be working on it. Okay, and then see directions on My Words. So if you click on that link, there are directions to explain. So everything is linked for an explanation too, for the teachers. And then on Wednesday, they are also have the words I like, which are other words in the poem. So they're going to be listing the words that they like, and then other words can be other words that they're reading in their book that they're reading independently or finding. It doesn't have to be other words on the poem.
Yeah, it could be words that they are finding from their guided reading. It could be words that they're doing in the Making Meaning book that they're working with. It's again building vocabulary, because that's really such a critical piece, but in terms of choice of vocabulary for them.
And again, we just want them getting used to reading the poem too, and that's why with the monthly poem, you're doing that every day. So they're going to be getting that fluency, that phrasing in with that poem every day, on top of the weekly poem as well. So we do want them continuing practicing it. They can use their different voices. You can change it up every day, because on Friday we want them to, we say perform, which we don't want them acting it out or anything, but we want them to recite the poem using their motions for you. And then there's a rubric for you on a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale of how they're doing with their fluency with the poem.
And you could, over the course of a month, pick 4 kids each week or 5 kids each week that you're checking, and by the end of the month then you will have done 1 fluency rubric on each student in the class, or whatever. Take your group and divide it by how many you have, and have them demonstrate their fluency with the poem. There was something I thought of, but it was about the poem, but I forget. Let me think for a minute. I went in another direction.
That's all right. So that's what the format is for the poem and the KMPs. Does anybody have any questions about that? Self-explanatory.
They glue the poem in their poetry notebook I don't know what day it is, Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday they glue it in, and you can have the kids, that's what I was going to say. One of the things I had my kids do was when they were working at independent time, they had a box across the bottom of the poem that they had 5 or 6 empty boxes, and every time they practiced reading that poem, they had to put a check in there, so that by the end of the week I know that they had practiced it 6 times, or and I would tell them, this week I want to see 6 checks by the end of the week, so that they're getting that repeat. And you could say 3 of them have to be with a friend, and the friend puts their initial in the box. They could do peer-to-peer, where they're listening to each other read or something like that. But that is building, again, that fluency. And it's, again, in terms of a routine, it's something the kids, once you model that and you show kids how to do it, you're not reinventing the wheel every week. The only thing that's changing is the poem. Mm-hmm. You can put a strong reader with a poorer reader, or you could do some of that, or you could put, let the 2 kids that are in the same reading group practice it.
Absolutely. So. And you can also have them record too. I'm not sure if you guys use Seesaw here or Marco Polo or anything like that, but then that's awesome. So that's a fun way too, that when they're at home, reviewing and rehearsing at home the poem, they can also record themselves, attach it to Seesaw or to the Marco Polo, and send it straight to the teacher as well, so they can hear that fluency develop as well from when they first started to where they're ending up at the end of the week or the end of the month, for that matter, depending on when you're doing it. So that's just an optional home connection as well.
And I think that's something in terms of communication with parents, something that I would be saying the reason that we're doing this is because the fluency, that ability to read fluently impacts your child's ability to comprehend. It's that, as I talked about, it's that bridge between word attack and language and comprehension. That fluency piece has to be in there, or they're not going to go over the bridge. They're going to, so.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the vowel house.
And again, this is only for first and second grade, so there's this component
first and second, yes.
Right.
Preschool and kindergarten does not introduce the vowel house. So we're going to sing the apples and banana song. You're going to sing it every day. So they're getting used to what those windows are, what those sounds are. So we're going to continue singing those apple banana song every day, Monday through Friday.
And I think if you click on the link, it'll take you literally to somebody singing it,
Yes,
to the video.
it does. I will click it for you, and it'll take you right to Terry. And then first she explains a little bit about it, and then she's going to do it. Which
the unique part.
I won't play the whole thing, but I'll let you see a little bit of it.
Listening first. When we introduce these, we do it in a fun way by singing apples and bananas. So we say, I like to apples and bananas. I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to apples and bananas. I like to
Apples and bananas. Okay.
I like to apples and bananas. I like to eat
Apples and bananas.
I like to apples and bananas. I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to
Apples and bananas.
I like to
You want me to stop?
Stop. You're good.
So they're going to go through she goes through everything on the vowel house.
Right.
With the apples and bananas. But if we're repeating that every single day, like they're going to get those sounds, they're going to know which windows go with which sounds. So it'll be easier for them when they come to a word to distinguish where they're putting their words from.
How many weeks do they do that?
The apples and banana song. I would say for a good, it's going to be teacher discretion, really. It's can they hear the sounds, and can they, when they put a word on the vowel house, are they able to do it?
Are they able to make a connection?
Right.
And if they can't,
as I said last time, you need to make sure
Yeah.
that there's a 99
yes.
to 100% match in terms of the sound and the window, because otherwise, if whoops, sorry, that just took 3 years off. That's all right, leave it down, it's fine. Okay. Just leave it down. If there's not a clear match, what's going to happen when they go to work within spellings within windows, they're going to be going to the wrong window. And so the match is going to be an incorrect foundation, which is going to make problems in terms of their development of the spelling of the sound. So
that's a tricky question. And to repeat that question, she wanted to know how often to do the apples and banana song. How long duration? Week-wise, again, teacher discretion, but they definitely need to know.
The other thing you can do, I will say, is to make it more interesting after you've done, is to change the point, what you're pointing to. So you can go over to the vowel house and move it up a level. So, okay, we're going to sing apples and bananas. Okay, I like to apples, apples and bananas. Like, can they quickly change? That's, make it more interesting, make it more difficult for them in terms of their ability to do it. Change, just go back and forth between two windows. But you don't have to sing every window every day, I think. I would spend a good, at the beginning of a year, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I would.
But then
they're not
they haven't just memorized it. No,
Right.
Really,
Right. You can then change it, and you can have a student come up, be the teacher. Okay, they're going to be pointing, and sometimes the kids are meaner than you would be in terms of how quick they're moving. But that, again, you're wanting that fluency, that freedom of changing that vowel, because the vowel sound in a word changes the total meaning of the word. And so it's critical for them to be able to manipulate those vowels easily.
And once they're able to do that as quickly like that, then you know that they're ready. You can stop.
And do you initially, when you're kind of referring to the sounds off of the poem and so on, do you usually do like maybe the basic 10 first before you kind of go off to the...
I mean, in terms of introducing what?
Or like pick a sound, that it sounds like you said October, and some kids might do
Right.
Does that happen early in the year, you think? Or?
It does for some kids because they like certain motions. Certain students, her question was, do you do a core group of sounds before you in terms of working with the vowel house? There is a scope and sequence that you're developing with the vowel house itself, starting with the short vowels and moving then into the long vowels and then into the secondary spellings of those long vowels. But words that come from poems and things, I would say you will have some kids who are looking and like my kindergartners loved the ow sound. Now that would not be a sound because it's one of those diphthongs over there that a lot of kids, but they liked it better than they liked some of the long vowel sounds. It was, kids hook onto things that we don't think they're going to hook onto. And so every student, I think, is a little bit different. But there is a scope and sequence in terms of you're developing those high frequency short vowels in first grade at the beginning up through probably December. And then you're and working with some of the long vowels and then the secondary spellings are coming in probably November, December, January. So, but in terms of sound immersion, they tend to point out more because if you're also then more of the more common sounds. So, especially if you're focusing on them then in your vowel house, in your word work time, that's where they're going to be looking back to the vowel house for. Go ahead.
So after the apples and banana song, with each window, you're going to have them show you the a window or the a window. So you can even say that. Point to the a window, point to the a window, point to the e window. Like I would change it up too. So just say, again, it's for fluency, seeing if they can distinguish between those sounds. So really what you're doing now is you're choosing 1 to 2 words from that monthly or weekly poem and you're transferring it over to the vowel house. So we're doing it there as well. And then you also, depending on what you're spelling, you can attach it to your spelling words. Or she has her bank, her word bank that you can also attach, which I'm going to click here. I know it's on Friday, but the word bank words where you're going to pick 3 to 5 of those words. Oh, I don't know if it's here. Hold on. Yeah. So depending on what week, obviously it's 1, 3, 4, 5, so 6 week. Let's just say we're in the 6th week. So C weeks 1 through 5. So you're kind of reviewing these. So you are going to pick, so let's just say it's short A. You're going to pick 3 to 5 of these words. You're going to have them say the word. So if we're doing the word Man. Say the word man. Man. Show me. Man. So now you're segmenting it, you're blending it. Okay, show me on the window. Where would it go on the window? So you're doing 3 to 5 words, depending on what your time is. You might do 3 one day, you might do 5 another day, and then you're putting them on, but you're doing it every day. Anything else you want to say?
Within a family that you're working on.
Yes.
Within a
what your focus, like if it's a short
Right,
A, or
right.
if it is
you might be contrasting
family,
at versus
at,
app.
yeah.
You might be just doing an. You might be doing, it depends on your
What your
focus
focus
is.
Very good. I'm sorry. Every time I go back, I have to start over here. I apologize. It keeps bringing me back to the top. All right. So you're choosing your 3 to 5 words. You're clapping it out, exactly what I just showed you. I modeled it for you up here, but there's a video here modeling it for you as well. So the teacher just has to click on that. She can show it, the kids can see that, or once she views it, or he, they can be doing it themselves as well. Okay, and we're locating it. And then for, once the teacher models, there's the rainbow right. And these are for sight words.
And this is one I did not show, a worksheet I did not show you last time.
So again, this is something they can do in their centers, they can do it in the eye care time or whatever it is that you guys have here, that they are picking a word here, they're writing it, they're gonna do the KMP, write the word here, they're gonna do it again, here, they're closing their eyes, they're trying to see and visualize the word, and then they're gonna open their eyes and write the word again here. And then with the rainbow, right, it's just what it is. They're gonna, each letter will be a different color, and you can change it up. You can just maybe have them just do the vowel feature a different color. You can have each letter, be a different color.
And the goal of this activity is teaching kids how to learn words. Mm-hmm. It's not just showing them the flashcards. It's how do I learn to get this word into my memory bank? Like how I have to be able to write this when I'm writing. I don't want to impede my ability to write connected text. I don't want to have to think about how do I write the word from. I'm going to practice writing from, and I'm going to go through that strategy of write the word, instead of form, which is what they all write. Instead of from, they write form. And so that's building again that fluency of writing.
And it's almost like that see it, say it, hear it, that thing. The more they do it, it is in their long-term memory.
I have a question. Is this something so do they need to complete this rainbow right during that block of time?
No.
Or could it be something completed during workshop?
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
All of my word, her question was, is it something that needs to be done during the time that you're, the teacher, the first few times they do it will model it, but after that, the rainbow right goes up on a board and they know by Friday that needs to be completed for this many words. But the goal is to again, in developing the routine is once they know how to do the routine, the only thing that's changing is the words that they're writing into that document. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I know
am
Terry.
So sorry, this is very touchy.
Terry in her classroom had a board that as she was working through Monday, the My Words paper would go up. And then on Tuesday, she'd add the words I like part. And then on Wednesday, whenever the rainbow right came in, that paper went up. So that by the end of the week, they knew these were all the things that they were going to be responsible for by Friday. Mm-hmm. But again, it's once you teach the routine of using the material, the only thing that's changing is the words that they're focusing on. So.
Right, exactly. So that's Monday. Tuesday, you're doing the exact same thing. They're doing the rainbow right, and then the Vowel House Masters, which if you click on it, has all the vowel masters, and I know there's going to be new ones that are going to be being added as well. But first, obviously, teachers are modeling how to use these things first before they're exposing it to their students.
And those were the worksheets that when we
I can
did the
put
word
them too.
window last time I was here. Those were some samples of some of the available
Yes.
Vowel House worksheets that are
So
there.
depending on what you're working on, if it is the ah sound, what would fit here, what wouldn't, they could cross it out here. I know some have the trash can. These are for whatever you choose, like you can develop, depending on what you're focusing on. And then of course here they're distinguishing between two sounds. And again, there's always a blank where you can put your own features in that you're working on or focusing on. You can go up to 3, and then here's the families. So they're all here, and I know some new ones are going to be developed as well. It's just depending on what it is that you're focusing on will depend on which one of these that you're going to have them do.
And can I say, when I the sample, like if you look at that sample, she has the A street, and she's doing ache and ate and ape, because that each family lives in a different house, like on a street. But I might use, if you go down to
Keep
the next.
this way.
Yeah, I might use that same worksheet, and I might be doing an A-I spelling versus an A-E spelling versus an A-Y spelling.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be flexible in terms of how you use the worksheet. So
Yes,
it's
definitely.
still the A street, but I'm focusing on the different spellings of A, and she was focusing on the different word families within A. So you can use them to your, there's no like, I can only use this worksheet this way. Do what works for you and your group.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I apologize. This is very touchy on here. All right, we're at the Vowel House. Okay, so that was Tuesday. You're
Can
introducing.
you make it bigger again?
Yep.
Thank you.
Wednesday, you're going to do the same thing, but now you're segmenting and blending. So whether it is the body, where you're having them stand up, and you're having them move, from if it's, I'm just for purposes, cat, say the word cat, cat. Ah. T. Cat, and then blending, if they're blending, it's the crossover. But that's when you would do it, and you would get them up, you get them moving, and again, it's that whole body movement that's going to help solidify them with their long-term memory as well. It's just another way too, because all children learn different ways. It's just another avenue, kinesthetic way for them to learn. Again, the videos are all here for them, for you, for the teachers. That's all you have to do is click on it, and it'll go right to the videos. And then on Thursday, it's the same thing. Yep, that's it. And Friday is the same thing. Now the thing with the body movements too here, it says starting week 2. So that's when you would be introducing it. The body movements is week 2. You wouldn't be doing it the first week of school.
I was just going to say that it literally, you're doing on Tuesday what you did on Monday, and then adding another
You're just
layer.
adding one more thing.
Yeah.
And then what you're doing on Wednesday, you're just adding one more thing. And then Thursday is basically the same thing. They're using their 3 to 5 words in a sentence and a sort. That's on Thursday. So we're just adding one more thing.
So you're
it's just
taking them from
developing.
you're taking them from the word to putting it in a sentence. And the kids are writing the sentence. You're not telling them the sentence. They're writing their own sentences. But again, it's building the skill as the week goes on.
And as they're learning those features.
Right.
Does anybody have any questions with the Vowel House? The reading and writing monster is sweet, short and sweet. It's very quick. I know it says 5 to 15 minutes here, but if you are just focusing on the letter formation should only be 5 minutes if that. You're done. Like you're modeling it. You're showing them, you're telling them what letter this is, what sound it is, You're practicing what it looks like, you're writing it in the air, and then they're practicing writing it on their paper for the letter formation piece. And then basically they're done with that, with the letter formation. With the reading and writing monster, it's about directionality from left to right. So if it's kindergarten and first grade, we definitely want to be introducing what the story is. And of course we want to do it for first and second grade too, but at teacher discretion, you're going to back off on that story. But basically the monster, they don't want us to learn to read and write. Do we want him to win? No. We want to learn how to read and write. So you're going to be telling them the story, and then you're also bringing in the monster hand, which is them pointing with their left hand to the reading and writing monster from your language calendar. So they're pointing at the language calendar where your reading and writing monster is. So we don't want them pointing with their right hand and crossing over. We want them using their left hand, so they're getting used to that left is where the reading and writing monster is. And then we also want to do the zone song, which, have you guys heard all of this?
No, I haven't. I didn't do that one.
Okay, you didn't show that. So all of these are links and clicks, and it actually reviews everything for you. So if you click on the magic of the monster story, it has the story written out for you. So you can, it's right here. Here you go. So on the first day of school, the teacher's whispering, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to close the door. I don't want the teachers to hear what good readers you are." She proceeds to close the door, and then you just continue that playful of good readers. The reading and writing monster doesn't want us to be good readers and writers. He's going to try and trick us. Is the reading and writing monster going to trick you? No, they yell. Is he going to stop you from reading and writing? No. So you're going to be saying that every day. So that is the reading and writing monster story. And then the left reading hand, I'll just quickly show you just so you can see what they are. To quickly just review it.
All of the stories for the reading and writing monster are either he goes to the monster or he's getting away from the monster. And that initial stroke in handwriting is the critical piece. And you will watch kids saying, C thinks she's cute. She goes to the monster, and here's the monster over here, and they're going away from the monster. They're not going towards the monster, and that's telling you that there's not a match in terms of the language in that stroke. But the reversals come because their initial stroke is incorrect. And so that cementing that initial stroke, the to and the from, is a critical piece for them. And I will say this, the newest research on handwriting is that it's a really critical thing that kids need to be doing. It's not the same as keyboarding. You don't get the same bang for your buck. And it actually literally is building brain pathways in kids' brains. So it is something that we got away from doing for a while. But really, the kids do need some instruction in handwriting for fluency in terms of that writing piece.
Mm-hmm. So this is just, again, just having them know that the reading and writing monster's on the left side, using their left hand is basically what this is saying here.
You'll watch little ones have their slate in front of them, and you'll tell them to draw the monster, and you'll watch them draw the monster over here on the right side of the slate. It's the most amazing thing. They have not cemented that left side yet, and that's a critical piece. I mean, that's left to right, that's return sweep. That's all of those critical early components in terms of kids' reading development that needs to be cemented. So it is something that especially for any of your kids those kids who get OT, who can't cross the midline, they have a hard time with that aspect of finding that left and cementing that left on their slate.
So you just practice this every day for them to cement using their left hand, and then it makes it into a fun game. Close your eyes, point, and then look and see if you're pointing to the reading and writing monster with your left hand, and if not, then you just tell them to switch their hand. We don't, obviously it's risk-free. Everything's risk-free with this. So that is the reading, and then we have the Reading and Writing Monster Zone song, which the kids love to sing. Which I will share with you.
Once you've done a few handwriting stories with the kids, you might want to introduce the song about the monster being in the zone, because you want them to know that this is where the monster stays. The reading and writing monster is in the zone, in the zone.
Can I make it fun?
In the zone. The reading and writing monster is in the zone. He's left in the zone.
And I would be doing it on the language calendar, singing it when they have their dry erase boards. If you're modeling letter formation with the Reading and Writing Monster on the paper, with the Reading and Writing Monster paper, I would be singing that and doing that with them and having them sing it with you. Okay, so that is just showing for left, you know, with the Reading and Writing Monster, and then again, just what Sally was saying with the stroking, how important it is even to, like, when we start our letters, we start at the top and go down, start at the top and go down, and then from left to right. When we write, we're going away from the monster. Oh, he's pulling us back. You know, just make it fun. We got to get away. Writing. Oh, he's pulling us back. You know, so they get used to that left to right. So there's videos for all of that as well in here. Okay, so the progression of introducing a letter to them. This is the letter P. What letter is it? P. Like, have them say it. So you're first telling them. So you're explicitly teaching them. You're telling them this is the letter P. What letter is it? P. What does P say? P. Show me. Show me is a big word. We have to use those words. Show me. And if they're not showing you, show me. You know, and you're just going to tell them, I'm still waiting on everybody to show me. I need to see everybody. Okay, I'm still waiting. You know, we want them all participating in it because there are kids that don't. I'm sure we've all experienced it. And sometimes I just kind of go over to them, you know, and just like, do it with me. You know, I might pick up their arm, you know, and do it with them. And they're okay. So yeah, show me. And then you're going to have them do it in the air. You're going to show them the video of the letter formation of how to make a P. P is a pull that goes down fishing, up, 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 pot belly. And then you have them do it in the air. So you just got to make sure that if you are facing your kids, that you're doing it the opposite way. And that is something that I've even learned too, and same with going from left to right. When you're doing that, like, you have to go the opposite way than the way you originally want to do it. From left to right, really for us, it's right to left as we're facing our kids. And we're going the opposite way when we're forming our letters. Unless you're doing it this way, obviously, you know, then that's fine too. But if you are facing them, just remember to go the opposite way for them. So yep, you're going to do it in the air a few times, and then you're going to practice writing it on the paper. Okay, I want you to write a little P. P is the pull that goes down fishing. Up, 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 pot belly. Okay, now let's do a big one. So you do like 5 of them on the paper so they get used to it. Circle your best P that you made. Have them distinguish which was the best P. Show me. You know, have them show you. Just kind of make it fun for them. And then again, that's really it with the letter formation part of it. Now Monday, Tuesday is usually lowercase letter. Wednesday, Thursday is uppercase letter. The reason why we show the lowercase letter first is because that's what kids mostly see in environment. We don't see all these capital letters all the time. We mostly see lowercase letters, and I know even with the little ones, you know, preschool, kindergarten, I mean, they're really big at starting with uppercase letters. We really want to show them the lowercase letters because that is what they mostly see. So that's how we start with the lowercase first on Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, the uppercase. And then they can practice writing both on Friday. Okay? Okay. We did the show me. I'm going to go after the 2 weeks because I think I added, okay. What did I add? You're going to do the same thing. Handwriting worksheet, lowercase letters. Okay, so there are worksheets for them. For obviously preschool, kindergarten, we just use blank sheets of paper. For kindergarten, my kindergarten teachers don't use handwriting lines. We don't do that. It doesn't start till first grade, where they start, and even at the beginning of first grade, it's not even started. We want them to be able to first form those letters before you start really, refining that they have to now be at the midline and they have to be, so we want to make sure that they at least know the formation first. But we do have the handwriting if you weren't familiar. But now they have the handwriting worksheets where they have the cute little, A's for astronaut, A's for alligator, A's for ant. And now they're practicing the lowercase letters. How many A's can you find? And count them. Now this one is pre-KK. So the first grade and second grade, it's capital and then lowercase, and then they have to write a word that begins with that letter, is for the first and second grade students. And so whatever letter that you're focusing on, you go to that letter, you print that out. You can either send it home with them or have them do it in their center time or whatever. What do you guys call it? Project? No. What did you say? What's your workshop time? Workshop time. So yeah. Okay.
There are alphabet books that go with those also
Yeah, I'm
that
gonna
you
show
can
them the
use that
alphabet,
that kids can use and you can do a
Yep.
follow-up where they're brainstorming words that come up that have that begin with that letter or sound.
So that's on Wednesday is where we fit in. Again, we kind of add something different every week. So the alphabet poem book is there. For the little ones, you can have them highlight the letter that they're focusing on. If there is a vowel focus for the older ones, you can have them highlight the vowel patterns or focus that you're working on with them, so you can bump it up for the upper grades. Okay, so really that is the routine. Same thing, this is on Thursday, you got your uppercase, lowercase, and then you can evaluate their letter formation on Fridays if you want, however you do your assessing.
Can I say, when I was working with my guided reading groups, that was one of the things that we did at the very beginning of the guided reading lesson. Was I had a checklist of the kids' names, and I would just observe them writing the letter that we were focusing on that week, and I could quickly put check, got it, or minus, not formation isn't correct or whatever. But I would reinforce it as they had to sit down and do it when they came, as I was switching groups. It was a good transition piece for them to do as we were transitioning into a new group. They got their slate out, they got ready, and then the very first thing I did took 30 seconds to watch four kids, or however many kids were in the reading group, 4 or 5 kids, sit there and practice it, and I can see, this one needs more work on the formation. They're starting at the bottom and going up. They're not starting at the top or whatever. So.
Yeah, so it's when you're doing the chants to the letter formation stories, just make sure they're saying it with you. Once you introduce it to them, having them say it with you, because then once they're alone, sitting here, they can start saying those chants as they're writing letters. Especially the D and the B, like they don't know which direction to put it in, so if they're having that chant, they'll be able to do that. Also, starting at the beginning when you're first starting with those letter formations too is the paper plate, and I'm not sure if you brought up
I talked about that with the O.
that is
that
an
the
awesome
O is
one
such a
with
critical
the O and the
letter.
A and the D, and it gets them all ready for that direction of starting here and then going to the monster and away from the monster. So it's always good to start with that paper plate. All right, and now comes the part with the making meaning. Does anybody have any questions with the letter formation and the reading and writing monster? The importance of left to right, top to bottom. And that's the thing too, you can always play a game with them too as you're walking around when they're doing a letter formation, because a lot of kids start from the bottom and move up. I still see it now, where you kind of play a game with it. And if you see them, oops, I gotcha. We got to start at the top, start like a mountain. Start at the top, come down like a mountain. But the kids like it. They absolutely love it. No questions? All right, so now we're going to go into the language calendar. And this is where you're making meaning. This is specifically geared to then towards you. The language calendar is the exact same thing every day when it comes to you are having an authentic conversation with your students about something that you've read, something that you've done. We are gearing your language calendar to making meaning, so it is going to be on Mondays and Fridays, your phonemic awareness piece or your vowel house, vowel pattern, spelling. You're going to use that on Mondays, Fridays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for you is based on making meaning, and it's going to be off of a comprehension skill, it's going to be off of your vocabulary, and it's going to be off of what good readers do. So that's going to be your Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But with that said, when you're doing the language calendar, again, we still want the authentic conversation with them, something that they've experienced with you. For the younger ones, you're going to count the sentence and you're going to draw the lines for them. For the younger ones, you're going to use your teacher discretion, whether your kids need it or not, for the first and second grade. I might start off with first grade with them, but we still have kids who might need it. So that's why that's how we differentiate. We're going to always draw a picture that goes with our words, and you're all going to focus on a handwriting story, one handwriting story for that week. Okay, you're going to model from left to right with the reading and writing monster. You're always going to stretch out a CVC word or a CVCE word. Words with a blend, and then you can utilize the sound boxes. These are all videos showing you exactly how to do it all. Do I need to show them?
Yeah,
or?
sure. Well, Yeah, go ahead, show
Show
them.
them? Okay, so because we do need to do this every day during our language calendar entries, whether making meaning is incorporated in it or not. Also with the vowel sound focus, whatever you're focusing on, you're bringing it to the vowel house. So already there's 3 different places that we've took the whatever it is features that we're focusing on, and we're bringing it to the vowel house. So again, it's just not, this is the vowel house time. This just isn't just our spelling time. We're incorporating it through the day with your different components of phonics and motion. Every opportunity you have. You can even have them when you're doing guided reading or when they're doing their independent reading. Have them write some words and have them, you can have a share time where they're sharing and putting it on the vowel house. We're going to draw a box around our sight words too. So whatever sight words you're focusing on, you're going to draw a box around them. Okay, you reread your entry. We're pointing from left to right. We could be asking, where do I begin to read? If it's more than one line of print, you're modeling that fluency. And then drawing that picture again that matches. So that is every day that you will be doing. Okay, and so now I am going to, which one is it? Okay. So here's an example. Do you want me to show Terry's first and then you do yours? Okay. All right, so let me blow this up.
This is specific for Mentor.
This is specifically for you. It was made for you.
So in terms of the language calendar, on Mondays and Fridays, again, you're working on your phonic focus. And on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're correlating with what you're doing with the Making Meaning lesson. So your entries will come from Making Meaning in terms of the book that you've read or a vocabulary word that you're focusing on from there, or and whatever the comprehension strategy is that you're developing that week.
Mm-hmm. And yes, exactly. And then you're going to be building your language calendar off of the planning sheet, which right here we have them attached for you as well with the planning sheets, and that's what we're going to be doing in just a few minutes once we go through this. And then Sally's going to go through a few entries from kindergarten, and then we're going to break you all up into groups of K1-2 where you're going to have your planning sheet and you're going to plan, looking at your Making Meaning books, a week's worth, so you have it. So then you're going to have kindergarten, you're going to have first, you're going to have second, and it'll already be made for you. And then Sally and I will walk around and help you if you need support. So what that would look like then on, again, Monday is your phonetic piece. Let's see. So right here is where the entry is. So if our focus was short A, and the TION is what she was using for the suffix, this would obviously be for like a second grade. Even though it was hot, we were happy to return after vacation. So we want to make sure with your language calendars, there's a lot of planning that is kind of put in there because you want to incorporate your vowel focus that you're focusing on. You want to incorporate when we get to the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever vocabulary that you're working on, whatever reading strategy you're working on, we have to think about that and make sure that it's incorporated into our entry. So we have our short A's in there for happy, after, and then the TION ending for the suffix. And then you also could have the short A, short O. You could be distinguishing between happy and hot with them as well. So you're distinguishing between.
And when I modeled the language calendar before, I showed you we made paper pumpkins, and then we had we put paper pumpkins on a craft stick, I think was a more complex entry. And my focus on Monday, this would be a Monday focus depending on the grade level. I might be doing the letter P, and I'm working on the handwriting of the P as a powell, and I'm putting that into that aspect of it. But it's my phonic focus is coming from what I'm developing either during the poetry or an activity that I've done with the kids, and I might be doing the sight word made, or we put the sight word on Tuesday. We put our pumpkins on craft sticks. I might be doing the sight word of put with first grade and second grade. That might be a focus, and reviewing a phonic sound. But that would be my Monday or Friday kind of from something you've done together. We went to gym, we used what's that thing called that they... The parachute, yes, we use the parachute. And maybe you're working on that, the clapping out a multisyllabic word, and you're doing that aspect. That's a Monday, Friday kind of entry, separate from what you're doing on the making meaning
Tuesday,
part.
Wednesday, Thursday. So on Tuesday is your comprehension strategy. For this particular one, it was literature, nonfiction. You're going to construct a sentence or a paragraph depending on what grade level it is. We want to include the title of the book and the author. So her example was, we read When I Was Little by Jamie Lee Curtis. The story reminded us that we cried when we were little because we didn't use words. So what we're teaching and what the kids are learning is obviously the title, the author, and making a text to self connection in there. That this story reminded us that when we cried that we were too little because we couldn't use our words, kind of a thing. So it's like a text to text. That's what you're working on. Also, it's a detail. We read this story, and now this is a detail from that story. So that is what you would be using for an example of your comprehension strategy, text, and then it could be for asking and answering questions as well. And then for your vocabulary, you're going to use words, because there's several. I know you have several vocabulary words that you're going to be introducing to them. We want to use words that they can relate to. So I would pick some words that they can relate to. So creature, we learned the word creature. A bird and a cat are creatures. Or if you're going to use imitated, we imitated Mrs. Stinchcomb. In a game, she touched her head, and then we touched our head. So basically what we're teaching them is this is what the word is, and this is what the word means, basically. So we're enriching their vocabulary. We're also explaining a detail of what it means. Also, like imitation, you use the word then, so you're kind of using those time type words. You're kind of introducing that then, next, that kind of thing in there. So she touched her head, and then we touched our heads. So there is some thought and planning into our entries. And then on Thursday, it was construct what a good reader statement is, based off of a strategy for the week. So if it is ask and answering questions that you're focusing on, whatever standard that you are focusing on, then you're just putting in good readers. So they're always going to have a good readers, like this is what good readers do. Good readers ask questions about the story, and then you're going to get an example of what that was. We talked with our partner about what problem Macduff had. So first we're going to say what concept it is that we're focusing on, or that we are learned, why we're good readers, and then what is it? You need to give an example of what it is. Okay. All right, so that basically is the format for you guys. So that format isn't going to change. You're going to have your comprehension, you're going to have your phonemic piece in your vowel house on Monday and Friday, always. You're always on Tuesday is going to be the comprehension strategy, Wednesday's always going to be the vocabulary, and Thursday's always going to be what good readers do. So when a principal comes in, whether a coach, you guys go into the teacher's classroom, when you look at the language calendar, you're going to know what that focus is, or you should know what that focus is. And if it isn't, then that's when the conversations come in with the teacher.
So I went and watched some videos over the weekend of making meaning lessons from different schools and I found one that happened to be for kindergarten, but I am going to do 3 entries just to show you a different, using the same format in terms of that. So the story was Lola Plants a Garden, which is a story of a little girl the book starts with a poem of Mary, Mary, quite contrary, and it's that nursery rhyme. And then the little girl loves the poem, she loves the garden, and so she and her mom plant a garden, and she makes some bells that hang in the garden. She has a picnic at the end of the story, and with her friends, and they all and then at the very end of the story, the poem is rewritten for Lola, Lola, extraordinary, whatever. So that's the story. So if I were doing my entry, I'm just modeling an entry. I'm not going to model like I would do it with kids. I'm going to show you my entries for that. So I'm doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So my entry on Tuesday, we read Lola Plants a Garden, sorry. Lola Plants a Garden by Anna McDaniel. Okay, because one of the things is title and author, and then I would be working with kids and talk about what do we do, it's the name of a book. Well, we always underline the name of a book. I would have been talking about the capital letters at the title of a book, all those kinds of skills. But the comprehension strategy that they're working on with this book is visualizing. So my next part of that entry would be, we made a picture in my mind. So we pictured a garden, okay, with lots of flowers. And then I would have the kids, I would be pulling language here. What did they look like? Were all the flowers the same? What do you think? Were all of the flowers the same? No. How were they different? They were different colors. They could be different colors. That's right. Some of them were red, and some of them were purple, and some of them were yellow. What else was different about them?
Sizes.
So they were different sizes. So some of them were tall and
short.
Some of them were short. Okay, so then I might do some tall, some short. And I would be doing the KMPs with it as I was doing it. But this is the language I'm trying to pull. So that's my entry on Tuesday. Now I've done the comprehension strategy. If I were doing making meaning with kids, and I was introducing different comprehension strategies, I would have a chart in my room that as I was introducing the comprehension strategy, I would put the name of the strategy, visualizing, and I would develop an icon that was there. It might be a camera because you're making pictures. And I would, anytime I would write an entry that I was developing, I would put the icon over here for the kids so that here's their camera. So they would know when they look back 3 weeks later that this is a strategy of visualizing. This is a strategy of making pictures in my head. I want them to be able to know what that entry is supporting. Okay? So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, one of the key vocabulary words in the story is shoots. And it's like a shoot coming out from the ground, not like shoots, which some kids would say shoots. And that is a critical thing. You have to make sure that the language that they're attaching is the language that fits with the book. So my entry on Wednesday would be something like, and I might do shoot, what do you hear? Shh, and I'd write it, shh, ooh, shoot, and I would do that, okay? And I might mark the O, okay, a shoot. Okay, and my language would be popped out of the dirt, and I would do that, okay? And then I might say, I would have a follow-up soon. So I'm doing the ooh again, all right? Soon it will be what? What will it be soon? A flower, and I would have, so that's my entry on.
Same thing, so.
on Wednesday. So we've learned, this is the vocabulary word I'm focusing on from that book. And this is, I'm also doing that ooh sound, but I'm showing them the correlate. So this is the vocabulary piece. This is a Wednesday entry. Okay, my Thursday entry is going back again to that visualizing, to the comprehension strategy. And I would have, if it were me, I would have my good reader statement already out there. I wouldn't be writing it with them. I mean, I would write, it would be, they would know that on Thursday we're always doing this. Good readers make pictures. Okay. Good readers ask questions. Good readers infer. Whatever the language is that I'm teaching in terms of the strategy, I would make that my statement at the beginning. So good readers make pictures in their minds. And I would have a common good reader statement for each of the comprehension strategies. So my good readers infer, whatever good readers ask questions, that would be the same thing on Thursday, every Thursday, whatever the comprehension strategy is that I'm working on. Then I would have my detail that went with it. So we pictured, okay, and then I would have my detail. So we pictured the bells, I had the bells hanging and ringing as they move, because I wanted them not to only have the visual of the picture, but the sound of the picture. I wanted not just what are they seeing, but what are they hearing, what are they smelling, what are they feeling. You want to expand on that. So my entry would have, we pictured the bells hanging and ringing, okay, in the garden, so, whatever, okay? That's how I would handle it if I were, because really what you're trying to do, again, in setting routines, is predictability, that the kids know what you're going for. And if it changes too much every single time, there's too much for them to figure out. You want a clear sequence in terms of what it is that you're doing. So I would have, again, my title and author with a summary of what the comprehension strategy is. And the Tuesday, I'd have that vocabulary focus, and I would have my good reader statement that was the same for whatever strategy it was. So good readers ask questions while they're reading. Or good readers ask questions before, during, and after reading. because that's really what your goal is, to be asking questions before they read, while they're reading, and when they're done. So I would have that statement that was always my correlate on Thursday, and with a detail that supported it based on the book I was reading.
And then I know that Sally was just getting the content down here for you for making meaning, but just like she modeled for you the last time she was here, that as you're writing that sentence, that you're modeling for them what good writing looks like. You're going to stretch out a word, you're going to clap out a single syllable, you're going to clap out a multi-syllabic word.
Right.
You're going to, so you are going to be doing your markings, letter formation, story for each entry.
So if I were doing Lola Plants a Garden, I might be working on clapping out garden and marking it. I might go back and be highlighting the sight word of with. Maybe that's my sight, or some. That might be a sight word that we highlight. We go back and we're highlighting it as we're doing it.
And
we're
again,
going
just have
back.
that picture in your head of what you want to focus on, because we don't want to mark up the whole entire entry either, because
Right.
that's just too much for them, and
You're
then
taking
they
3
won't
or
know what the purpose is.
You're
for that
taking
entry.
3 or 4 focuses: a phonic focus,
Yeah.
a sight word focus, a concept of print focus in
Yeah.
terms of the aspect. But you're clapping a one-syllable word and a multisyllabic word. Those are the things that you do every day on the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, questions? In terms of teachers and kids, at the end of a month, if they've done visualizing week 1 and they do questioning week 2, and the 3rd week they go back, there's maybe another book that they're doing that's visualizing again. If you think about a grading period of 10 weeks, and you've got these however many strategies that you're working on, they have multiple opportunities to practice them and see them and watch how it's modeled, because you've modeled it as you've done the making meaning lesson. And on this day, I would put my icon back again so that they would see that it's visualizing, whatever my icon was. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking that this would tie in with like your anchor chart, like as you're trying to get the kids to put the making meaning, and you're giving them strategies that hopefully they're carrying over to their own
Correct.
reading,
Right.
and then kind of like then you would.
Right. And if her question was, this is tying it into the anchor charts and stuff that you're building in your classroom. Absolutely. And you're modeling it then where you're asking the kids, okay, draw a picture of what you're envisioning. Maybe you don't show them the pictures in the book for the last 5 pages. And you ask them to stop and visualize. And then they draw their thing. Their visualization is just as important as what the author did. It's the pictures they're making in their mind. And then you talk about, well, the author included this in the picture. The author did this or whatever. But the conversations are critical into that aspect of it. But what you want kids to see that it's the language that you're pulling. And when you're writing, when teachers are planning for language calendar, they need to have that clear plan for the week. They need to be thinking about, okay, in 1st grade or in kindergarten, these are the phonic sounds I've been developing, so I'm going to make sure my entry has some of that in there. These are the foundational skills from the grade level that I'm working with. These are things I need to be doing. But if you're modeling it over time, every day, you're modeling, those skills are immersed in connected language. And that's the part that's the critical piece. It's not, I can find all these sight words in this list. It's using them within connected language. It's not, oh, I can find all these contractions and I can do it's, and I know it's is it is, but when they're writing, they don't write it's. They don't write it is. They don't know that what it is, that it goes together with it. They do it here, but they don't apply it here. This is taking it to application level. And you're focusing on 3 or 4 things. If I were doing this with kindergartners, my kids, I would be working on the sh sound that week. Well, look here, I've got sh here. I've got it here. Then I've got it here. And I've got it, I guess I only have it. But over the course of a week or 2 weeks, you've reinforced it. And think about the language that you're pulling. But it all, again, there's a clear correlation in terms of what we were envisioning with making meaning is that you're going to work on the Tuesday entry is always going to be the title and author and a summary statement of I tied it into the comprehension strategy that they're also working on, the visualizing. But it could just be a summary statement of the book.
Yeah, a detail.
A detail. Then I pulled out the vocabulary. That was a critical vocabulary word in the book. And then I, again, started with a good reader statement, the comprehension strategy, and we summarized what we were picturing. Because we stopped and did it.
And then when you do walk in those classrooms, you know exactly what they focused on, you know, for that
And
week
and when
or for the
if a
month.
principal came into my room and I had done, maybe I'm doing the sight word of, okay? That's my sight word that I've highlighted, okay? If I had another, maybe I highlighted it here, okay? And then over the course of somebody walking into your
they
room
should see.
needs to be able to see what that language calendar is teaching.
Yes.
If they can't figure it out, the kids can't figure
Right.
it out. So
Yep.
it's critical. You don't overmark it. You work on your foundational skills. You don't want 55 things marked on it. You want criticals marked, the parts that you're really focusing on that week. But it should be somebody coming in, oh, she's doing the ooh sound. And maybe with first grade, I would have something where I was doing the ooh, and I had the EW, another word with an EW in it, like the wind, the wind blew the bells. And I might be contrasting the EW versus the OO sound. I've jacked it up a little bit for them. Okay, questions? Again, your Monday, Friday is your phonemic and phonic focus and your concepts of print and all of those things. This ties specifically to making meaning.
Which is good because then it'll tie in of everybody doing the same thing across the board, kind of getting everybody on the same page from kindergarten all the way up through second grade. And if you have preschool too. So now we're gonna break you up into groups for kindergarten, first and second, and the language calendar planning sheet. You guys have access to it. You can either type right in on the document.
You want to show them the links to the state standards?
Yes, these.
If you click on
it doesn't work.
It's not working today? Usually if you click on that, it takes you straight to the standards, and you can literally cut and paste the objective into the lesson plan form.
For some reason on these planning sheets, they're not linking, but if you do go into Phonics in Motion and you go under the downloadables and resources, if you go under the standards, they're there. You just click on the grade level standards, and you can use that and you can copy and paste.
I will send Karina a note and say that for some reason that on the planning sheet the link isn't there.
Because they were working, I'm not sure why the link's not working.
It worked the other day,
but
it
did.
But I'll send her a note and say make sure that those links are there, because you literally can open your grade level. The foundational skills are there, the literature skills are there, the informational texts are there, the
so
excuse me.
It kind of looks like this for first grade.
They're all there, and you can just literally cut and paste them into a document. Teachers could do that.
Copy and paste it. Now, there was something that I did, and maybe you can talk to it, Sally, because this is new for me. I didn't see that there was an early literacy assessment for the poetry.
Yeah, I wrote that.
So that's why I'm like, can you talk to it? Because I actually just discovered it myself. But for
for the pre-K people, rather than doing the fluency rubric at the end of a week, we wrote a early literacy assessment that you would take 4 kids on Friday, and you would use the poem. And let's pretend the poem it's October.
Do you want me to?
You would have them point to the title. Can the kid, you have Johnny, can he point to the title?
Sorry, I was going to to help you.
No, I just want the document.
I know, I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Hold on. There we go.
There we go. Point to the title. Show me where we start reading. Count the lines in the poem. Can he do that? Count the number of words and you put 4th line or 2nd line the teacher picks. point to a word, any word, point to a letter. Can you name the letter? Then you show them 3 uppercase letters. And you tell what 3 you picked. Can they name the letter, yes or no? Can they find a lowercase match within the poem? So if you show them a capital P or capital Q, can they find a lowercase q in the poem? You're just checking yes, yes, yes. Use your fingers to frame a word. Use your fingers to frame a letter. Can they do the difference?
About print,
and
yeah.
then choose 3 words from the poem. The teacher says them. Ask the child to perform the motion for the beginning sound. So if I say pumpkin, what do you hear at the beginning? Can they go p, p, p? You know, I say October, can they go ah? And it's you pick 4 kids or 5 kids every Friday, and by the end of a month, you've done an assessment on every kid by the end of the month, using the poetry of that week.
There you go. All right.
I have to say I used this in my classroom. It was for data collection. If you have kids who are coming to RTI or to or IEP stuff, it is an easy way to, over the course of 2 months or 3 months, to get your data collected, so. And it's not poem specific. I mean, it's any poem you want. The teacher's just picking which is their focus. That's early language, concepts of print.
Yeah, concepts of print. Okay.
So
do we want to break them up?
We're going to break you up. Do you have certain grade levels that you want to focus on? I mean, you can pick, but we want to have, when we're finished, we want a kindergarten document, a first grade document, and a second grade document. This is the first grade Making Meaning kit. If you don't, Barb said that she has the kindergarten and the second also that we could pull, but if you have access to, what was the site? You have it online?
Yeah.
So you can pick, if you know you're going to be starting this in November, look ahead a couple weeks and see where they are going to quote be maybe by then, or maybe look for one a little further out, so that they then, and you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to write those calendar entries, just like I did, and what you're thinking about it in terms of the focus. Okay, but then when you're finished, all of you will have, I'll take the documents if you want, put them together into one and send them out to you, and you will then have 4, if you're working with kindergarten teachers, you've got something for them, you got something for first and something for second across for the district. So, okay, go ahead.
Yes.
This is very new for a lot of teachers.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering, I mean, you guys have a wealth of experience in knowledge, and part of me feels like if I take this back to my teachers, they're gonna look at me and be like, are you nuts? And I understand we're planning, and that's amazing, but I mean, if we start with at least doing entries and just doing a little bit of marking up and then
Right.
beginning and then add more, could we do that? I mean,
Absolutely.
I just feel like if we go and then, okay, do this, and this for this, and then this, like.
Your language calendar entry will be just like I did in terms of the sentence. That's it. Okay, and a statement, a detailed statement, or for Tuesday.
I wouldn't
a
have any
detailed
marking.
statement.
So right here, this is where you're gonna put your entries, but it's just gonna be your entries. The classroom teacher is the one who's going to be marking, and my suggestion is if they're brand new, they're gonna take it slow.
They're
So-
only going to be they're only going to be focusing on the things that they're also focusing on with their KMPs or with their whatever.
I would probably start there.
Okay.
And maybe
I mean,
a sight word, maybe just the beginning sound, or if it is a vowel feature, highlight the vowel feature. Just leave it at that first.
You
then
don't
you're going
wanna-
to build, just like you build on the motions. First you're just doing the beginning sound or an ending sound, and then after you're adding one more, you're adding one more. That's exactly how you're going to do the language calendar.
you don't want to overmark it.
No.
Because kids and teachers need to be able to see exactly what it is your focus is. If I were doing mine, I would have one on any entry. I would have a 1-syllable word marked and a 2 or 3 syllable word marked. That would be one marking. I would have some kind of phonic focus, and I would have a sight word marked, and that would be it. The conversation we would be having would be about, we always underline the title of a book. We always use a capital letter at when we do a title. We always, I'm making a picture. This is I'm doing visualizing. I'm making a picture in my mind. I have this good reader statement. This is how I pictured it. So it's the same. It's the same. If you're doing Curious George Goes to the Zoo, Your picture could be about visualizing Curious George, you know, climbing in the monkey cage or whatever with his friends, or you know, whatever. It's that strategy piece, but you're not marking 55 things. And if you've got first and second grade and you're working on the ing ending or the ed ending, I might be highlighting ed at the end of a couple verbs, like popped. It popped out, and I'm highlighting the ed. That's all you're doing is mark. But you don't need to mark that. Just we're working on the language of what an entry would be based on this book in Making Meaning. This would be Tuesday, this would be Wednesday, this would be Thursday.
And go ahead. No.
I think just getting them to understand the process.
Yes.
Like that week of what we're trying to show you how you can put this into Making Meaning,
Right.
into your teaching. That this is going to become your new way of doing tying in the language calendar with the district.
And it's not just it's not just talking about stuff. Teachers need to model, how do I get what I'm thinking down onto paper? And that's the beauty of the language calendar. Is you're not worrying about the craft of writing, and you're writing the nitty-gritty of how do I get this word out of my head down onto the paper. But you're working on within the context of Making Meaning, within the context of a comprehension strategy. Your entry is going to focus on that. You're going to focus on a vocabulary word. What's the Freyer model word that you're doing that week? That's the word I'm going to make sure I write about in my Wednesday entry. I'm going to do that vocabulary focus. You know, we talked about gardens, you know, garden instruments or whatever, garden tools. You know, we talked about a shovel, you know, whatever. So you're doing other foundational skills, writing a list, you know, all of those other things, but you're tying it into the vocabulary that you're trying to build. And when you really, and what you want to be doing is not just only conversations. That's the problem, is some of the kids, they're zoning in, zoning out. Some of them are attuned to what you're doing. Some of them aren't necessarily making the connection that you think they're making in all the conversation when we're talking at them all the time. This is giving them a visual model of it in written language. Okay? So I don't know how you want to divvy up. You guys can decide, but we need to have a kindergarten group, a first grade group, and a second grade group.
Coming up with 4 for each grade.
You're going to come up with the 3 Making Meaning entries.
In 4 of these documents? So it's like a whole month of November?
No,
Oh,
just
no,
one.
Just one.
Just
Oh,
one.
okay, just one
Just
week.
1 week. Just one week of.
Yeah, 1 week.
Just 1 week of a Making Meaning. Okay. We're going to take one of the entries that you did, and we're going to tell you what we would focus on. It might not be what you were going to focus on, but this is what we would focus on. So this entry is, we read A Tree is Nice by Mark Simon. We pictured leaves whispering in the breeze. Okay? So if I'm looking at this, one of the things I would definitely mark would be the multisyllabic in whispering. I would mark that. Okay, multisyllabic word. I would focus on the ed ending in pictured. I would talk about that with the kids, that it's finished. I might contrast it to the ing and whispering. Okay. I would myself be focusing on the E sound. So I would be looking at leaves and breeze and tree, and I would have a conversation about red. Because you're going to have kids looking at EA and saying E, and they're going to look at that, and we're going to be talking about which window does we read, not we read. We're done. It's all done. We read it. We're finished. So which window would this spelling go in? And I would go to the vowel house, and I would say another way to spell the eh sound is, there has to be something after it. And I would go to the EE window, and I would go look at leaves, and I would do another way to spell it. I would contrast the two with second grade. It doesn't have to have something in front of it, because you could have the word each. So it has a wavy line in front. And that's all I'd be marking on here. But in terms of standards, I've worked on underlining the title of a book. I've worked on author. I've worked on clapping a one syllable, I would have clapped a one syllable versus a multisyllabic word. I might take the word, I might focus on probably would focus on the sight word of red. I would probably do that. And I might do by, depending on what my vowel house focus is that week. I might work on another way to spell the I in a short word is with a Y. Like in my, fly, spy, try. It's a one syllable word, it's one clap. And you're not marking 55 things. You're picking a focus. You know, most probably you'd be working on in second grade these other spellings of that EE spelling, and I'd be pulling those out and talking about them. Okay? You want to do one?
So this is kindergarten.
Okay.
So this was kindergarten. We read When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry by Molly Bang. Sophie got mad. So with kindergarten, we'd be focusing on those consonant sounds. So where it's repetitive, that's probably where I would focus it. So like really, really. So like the R's and really, angry. You know, I definitely be focusing on those beginning sounds. Sophie. So where it is repetitive, that's where I would definitely be focusing on that. Multisyllabic words, so like angry, I might angry, showing that multisyllabic word, whether it's angry, I wouldn't be doing it all over the place. Just pick one. And then maybe we for a sight word. But that's it. Like I wouldn't be focusing on too much more with that for kindergarten.
And the illustration that you would put with it might be a picture of the cover of the book. Mm-hmm. If you have a smart board, you could put the cover of the book. You could draw a little girl, you know, throwing a temper tantrum. You know, you can put something like that. The illustration. We had a conversation about adding the second sentence. Even for kindergarten, when you're doing the title of the book, you want a summary statement of what the book's about in simple words. That's why Sophie got mad. That's really what the book's about, how she got mad. All of the events in the story correlate to that behavior. You could talk with kids on vocabulary on, we used the word angry. What's another word that we use that means angry? What's another way to say it? Oh, mad. And maybe you draw a circle around those two words to show them. It means the same thing. Sometimes you want kids to think about the nuances of language sometimes. So sometimes you can have, they'll use a sentence where somebody jogged versus somebody strolled. They both walked. They both mean walked. But one of them is a very different picture in terms of the behavior than the other. And those are conversations that need to be had with kids. And because that is a clue that authors use to help you make meaning, to help you make sense of a story. Somebody strolling down the street and somebody, not even jogging, but something faster than that, are two different things. One of them is showing urgency and one of them is showing almost complacency. And so that's an important conversation that you can't, I remember with when I taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, they'd get out the thesaurus and they'd find another word that meant walked. And it had nothing to do with the story that they were using, because the picture of what the events were that were happening in the story, you couldn't use the word strolled. It wasn't immediate enough for it. So just because a word, quote, means the same, there's a very different picture in terms of it. And that's what you want, conversations that you want to be having with kids. So, I think, what was your story, the one that had, who had smithereens in it, or what? Your story had smithereens or something. You could at some point just in the conversation saying, she blew her top. I mean, that's an expression that people use about their my dad blew his top when whatever. Start and use those kinds of language things in there too, just in conversation. You don't have to write them. But they're things that are important in terms of building concepts and comprehension for kids. So, good. All right. Last one. We read Macduff and the Baby. We felt sad for Macduff. Okay, what would you... What would you mark? Well, first of all, think about the foundational skills. What are we teaching here? Title of a book is always underlined. You capitalize the title of a book. You are writing a summary statement about what the book was about. You're talking about, you're inferring. You could even later in first grade, you're making connections. You could say, we felt sad for Macduff. I don't know that story very well, so it's. But if if you were doing the comprehension strategy of making connections, I felt sad, or we felt sad when so and so was sick for a week or something. So where you're making connections between this book or we felt sad when, I don't know, making a connection again, putting another statement in there to help with that aspect of it. I'd be marking. I'm sorry. Okay, good. And so, I'd be marking baby. I probably would mark.
And I might do ending sounds. So if you're working on ending sounds with them, like red and sad, like they all have ending sounds with
Or
D.
the
So I
twins
might
at the end,
that
double F at the end of a word, Macduff, that twins at the end, and
Yeah,
I'd
that's
start
good
to
for
build
first
some
grade.
other words that have that, fluff and puff and those kinds of things. I might build some other words that have that double ending at the end. Absolutely. You might be focusing with first. This is first grade.
Yeah.
I do the OR in there, and take it to the vowel house. Can they find that up there? Or are they looking at the ah window or the o window? Or are they looking at the or? That aspect of it. So again, you're not
depends what your
overmarking
focus
it. You're
is.
picking, when you think about the foundational skills and the literature skills, and by doing an entry like this, you've talked about the title of a book and a summary statement about what it was. You've done some inference. You've done questioning. You've done maybe you're working on the e sound at the end of a word in a multisyllabic word, and you take it over to the EE window. You've done the EA, and now all of a sudden you're introducing this is your first grade vowel house, and in previous weeks you had the EE and the EA, and now you're doing a long word with a Y at the end of it. It says E. You've added that spelling in. But it's just, I said I always worked from what I needed to assess and worked backwards. So if I knew in November or mid-October these were the things the kids were going to be checked on, I made sure that I had modeled it on the language calendar before that. I front-loaded the skills that I wanted them to be developing, not just hoping that they got it and when I got to the assessment prayed. I made sure that I'd modeled it. So, questions? Go ahead.
So when you keep saying like I take it to the vowel house.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean like you come over and you just point to the window, or do you write it one of the shutters, or leave it up there kind of during the duration of the week because you talk about the story and stuff?
I might put the words, I might have written breeze here. It depends on how much time I'm spending on if this is something that I'm developing over the course of a week or two, I would be adding words to it. But if I'm also just asking the kids, okay, baby, which window would you put it in? Then they're just going over there, we're not writing anything there.
But if you're adding like a new spelling or sound kind of introducing, then you would put that kind of in the middle part and kind of leave it there.
Correct.
Kids now
Absolutely. And that's going to come from your word work time more so, because that's your primary focus in that word work time when you're working with the Vowel House in 1st and 2nd grade. That's very structured. And so then what you're doing is you're putting an entry that has some of that in it. You're looking for words in the poetry that have that spelling in it. When you're pulling the guided reading group, you're having them jot down 3 words in their reading that have that spelling in it, so that they're word detecting all over the place. And then I would start adding them. Pick one word, let's add it to the Vowel House. Let's put another one on. Can you find another one? The kids like that. They like to be able to say, oh, I found 3 words that say that. I found 4 words that have that Y at the end, when I was reading, and who can find the most or whatever. It gets kind of competitive with them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, this is it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, or Dina, you want to give them your email?
My email, sure. I should probably write it because of my, yeah.
Feel free to really, if you have a question or a concern or something comes up, send me a text or an email, and I will be happy to answer it. And I will, let Barb know that this question came up and they need clarification on this or something like that. I'll be happy to do that. But really, what you're doing with Phonics in Motion is you're modeling language and writing. You're working with the Vowel House, which is a graphic organizer, and you're working with poetry with fluency and vocabulary. That's really, and you're immersing it into what they're doing throughout the day. It's not, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to go do, it's just, you play with it. And you tell teachers to, do, if they're if they're opening it up and they're starting with a poem, just do the motion that's for that sound that's highlighted till they feel more comfortable. And think about the vocabulary that's offered within the poem, and think about, look at the Vowel House work that they're doing in terms of what sounds. And then you're pulling you can make anything. I have to tell you, you can have a language calendar entry from anything that you're doing if you're actually doing it within the classroom.
Right.
It's there. It's an
experience.
actual experience of something kids have done. Yes. And you're writing down what it was that they did with the questions that you're asking. And if a teacher knows on Thursday that this week they're working with this book, it's easy to pull the language entries from your head, because you know what you're going to be teaching them. We're going to be doing this word sort with this poem, or we're going to be doing this whatever. It comes from what you're doing. So it's not artificial. Okay? I guess we're done.
Thank you.
Okay? Really, questions, feel free to send anything.